All right, so I had my endometriosis surgery and I'm on day 4 of recovery. So this area has been my little cocoon for the past 4 days since surgery. My mom got me flowers. Thanks, Mom. But I have like not left the couch. I have pretty much been sleeping 24/7. I've not tried stairs yet, so I've not gone up to sleep in my room. I've literally been sleeping and in so much pain. I had no idea it was gonna be so incredibly painful. I thought it was gonna be so much less painful than it actually was, but oh my gosh, it was so bad. It was so bad. So let's get into it. So I kind of want to go over like how the prep for the surgery was, the actual surgery itself, and then the recovery so far. And then I'm gonna have a post-op appointment in 2 days. And after that, so in next week's vlog, I'm gonna get into like more the details of the findings of what they found. I'm just gonna kind of go over the findings. So let's go in chronological order. Wednesday, I had a surgery time of 6 a.m. So my poor parents who were allowed to eat and drink, they had to get up super early, like 4 something, maybe even 4, to come, and my dad picked my mom and I up at 5:15 because we had to be there at 6. It was wild. Now I could not eat or drink before the surgery, so I pretty much just rolled out of bed and brushed my teeth, and that was it. And then just tried to not throw up because my nausea has been so bad that like if I don't eat or drink, have breakfast in the morning or chew gum, and I wasn't allowed to chew gum, then I get so sick. So my one goal was just don't throw up. So I was humming because we found that out recently that helps nausea. I was doing the pressure points on my legs, I had AirPods in, and I was listening to music to hum along to that. I was like in the waiting room doing that. I'm sure I was annoying so many people, but I was like, do you want to see me throw up? Otherwise I will be throwing up in front of you, and I don't think anybody wants that. So yeah, we get there. It was a little confusing at the surgery center. I'm glad we got there early because we ended up like driving around trying to find the entrance, but we ended up finding entrance. All was good. I was like the first people there. It's never good when you're there before even most of the employees, right? So I was like the first patient there, and so yeah, we filled out a bunch of paperwork. You know, I'm sitting in the waiting room trying not to throw up, and then they called me back, and my parents were not allowed to come back, and that drives me nuts because I'm like so nervous, try not to throw up. I just need distraction, and I just really wanted my parents there to like help me through that, but that was not the case. So we go back, and then there's just the whole surgery prep. Like Dr. McGirt comes at one point, my endo doctor, and she asked me like a couple of questions. I thought it was gonna be actually much longer of a survey than it was. Wasn't that long. Asked me some questions. The anesthesiologist asked me actually probably a lot more questions. We go through all of that. They did give me some Tylenol, which they gave me 3 huge Tylenol pills with like the littlest bit of water. And I was like, I'm like nauseous. They were getting stuck in my throat. Like I usually need a lot more water to like get it down. It was just a hard morning. But yeah, they have me change. So I was in a gown. I was in like a little thing was over my hair, little hairnet thing. They put an IV in my hand. So they got me like fully set up, ready to go. I'm in their little gown with the opening in the back. And yeah, they start the saline drip and everything. There's just a lot of like questions and a lot of different stuff getting me ready to go. And all women have to give a urine sample just to test for pregnancy before any surgery, I believe is actually like the law. So do all of that, and yeah, then they basically have you walk into the surgery room, which when I did my colonoscopy and my endoscopy, I was like on a gurney that they rolled in, but they actually had me walk in. And so yeah, I'm like holding my saline bag because the nurse was like, when I hold the saline bag, people are like, oh, you're walking me like a dog. And I was like, well, might prefer you holding it. So yeah, so I'm holding my saline bag. So we walk into the room, and it is such an intense room. So it's, first of all, so cold. I mean, it's absolutely freezing, and I'm only in a gown. Okay, Aurora, you need to like choose where to be. And so they basically strap my arms down. So I am like across, honey. Yeah, I know. I've been sleeping, and she's not allowed in the room when I'm sleeping because she will jump up on my stomach. And so she's pretty upset that she hasn't gotten to see me for like 4 days. But anyway, so there's like literally a cross. So my arms are strapped down like this, which is insane. And then the first part of the surgery is called hysteroscopy. And they basically remove thyroids, they check your fallopian tubes, they put dye, I think, through your fallopian tubes. They do a whole bunch of tests basically through your uterus. And so they made me put my feet, my legs in stirrups. I was so cold. I mean, I'm just literally like shaking. My whole body is shaking. And so anyway, they were like, make sure you get comfortably positioned. Are you in a comfortable position? They had me scoot forward a bit, blah, 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 blah. Again, my arms were strapped down. It was so intense. And then basically they're like, tell me about, well, first of all, when someone asked like, oh, what do you do for work? And I was like, this is not a fun question to answer. I think they're just trying to get me to like talk or distract me. I was like, I can't work. I can't go to school. I'm disabled. And then someone was like, oh, well, tell me about like your favorite place to vacation. And I was like, oh, I love Mexico. And I was like, I can't think of the name of it. Because first of all, it's like 6 a.m. and I'm so tired. Actually, it's about 7 by the time I got into surgery, but I'm like so tired. So they were like asking me, they're like, oh, is it like Riviera Maya? And I was like, yes, Riviera Maya. And then they were just like, oh, we have oxygen. They had oxygen, an oxygen mask over my face. And then I started to smell something like really obnoxious. And I like jerked backwards and they were like, no, breathe it in. And I was like, okay. So yeah, that was the anesthesia and I was out. I don't remember anything after that. Oh, I do remember one of the nurses said she just got married in Mexico and I congratulated her, and then that was it. I was out. So yeah, the surgery lasted about an hour and a half. My parents said that it was like much longer than they were thinking. So my parents felt like it was like a 2-hour surgery, but on the notes they did say 1.5 hours. But they found a lot. They found a lot of endometrial tissue in there. Again, I'm gonna go into more details, but just broadly, it was all over my left side that they had to unstick me, as the doctor likes to call it. And then it was also all over my right side. So it was all over my bowel, it was all over my colon, it was all over my large intestine. Like most of my GI tract was just stuck together. And so they found a lot. I'm gonna go over that like in the next video and also more of my recovery and stuff. But you know, they found a lot. So the next thing I remember was waking up, but not really like waking up and being awake. I mean, I was like, you know, I would like open my eyes and then the next time I would open my eyes would be like a long time after that. And so I was just like, I don't know if I was having a hard time coming out of the anesthesia or whatever, but I would kind of like go like this and then like go back to sleep and then like open my eyes and then go back to sleep. And so like, yeah, I was just really like loopy out of it. The nurse would like come in and out and check on me, but even when I was starting to really come out of it, I would like close my eyes, and then when I would open them, the nurse was in like a completely different spot. So I was like not just blinking, I was like keeping my eyes closed for a very long period of time. So anyway, but yeah, so I'm like kind of coming out of it. Dr. McGurk did come and speak to me briefly, but I was like so loopy. I mean, she pretty much just said like, we found a ton on your left side, and I don't remember anything after that. But she did talk to my parents a little bit as well, but then most of it's gonna be during the pre-op appointment. They do a test to see how much urine is in your bladder. It's pretty much like an ultrasound, it looks like. I don't think it is, but it has that same thing. And they just put it over your stomach, which I'm like, she's like pressing on my stomach, which is the area that they had just operated on, and I'm in so much pain. And so I'm like, basically they express your bladder while you're out. But if when you come out of it, if you have more than 20% of your bladder full, you have to pee before you leave. But I was at 0%, but she was pressing there for a while to check to make sure, and it was like really painful. And so I wasn't really in pain until I tried moving. Like I tried sitting up, and you're supposed to like eat a little something, drink a little something. And so I did. The only gluten-free thing they had, which was so sad, was like an ice pop, which was very good, and then applesauce. So I got like both of those things, but they didn't have any gluten-free crackers, which is super, super sad. But anyway, so as soon as I tried sitting up to take some of those meds, yeah, it was like so painful. And I was just like, oh, it was so painful. And so she was like, do you want to take some of your pain meds now? I get really confused with the names of all of these. I think it's Oxy. It was definitely a narcotic that I was prescribed, and I think it was like Oxy with Tylenol. And so I don't know the exact like name of it, but my plan going into surgery was not to take any narcotics. They were gonna give me like 10, and I was like, I'm just not gonna take any. Like I can handle pain. I've been in so much pain for so long, like I can handle pain. Girl, no, I was in so much more pain than I thought I was gonna be in. And so, yep, I was like, yeah, I will take 2 right now. So I took 2, but it takes like a half hour to 45 minutes to kick in apparently. And so I'm like in so much pain. So thank goodness my mom was there and the nurse was so sweet and they helped me get dressed. But oh, it was so incredibly painful. And you have to wear like a pad and stuff going home because you can have a lot of vaginal bleeding afterwards. Might be TMI for people, but I do want to be honest about the experience. When I like scooted forward on the bed and looked back, well, actually, no, I put my hand back where I had been sitting and it was really wet. And I was like, what is that? And yeah, there was just a bunch of blood and fluid and stuff that was on a pad that I've been sitting on that I now put my hand on. So yeah, a lot of stuff had kind of come out, and so they send you home with a pad. But actually, tip is I took like period proof underwear, so I just wore that and I didn't even have to wear a pad, which is really nice. So anyway, getting dressed was so difficult and it was so painful, and I was just still so groggy. Like, this was not the anesthesia experience I had coming out of colonoscopy and endoscopy procedure. That one I felt great on. This one was much more, I cannot like come out of sleep. And this was a general anesthesia, so they put a breathing tube down your throat while you are out because it's such a long surgery. And so that causes, like, my throat was super scratchy and irritated for a couple of days, so it was like hard to talk. I felt like I had stuff in my throat, but yeah, so it was just so hard. I was just so like groggy and loopy, and just, it was really difficult coming out of it. And then the car ride home was the worst experience of my life. It was so painful. I felt every single bump, any like jostle of the car. I was like, I was in like so much pain, which is unfortunate because our driveway is gravel and has a lot of potholes. But the driveway, finally, towards the end of the half-hour drive home, I figured out that if I hovered above the seat, which I was so weak that I couldn't do, I could only do for the length of the driveway, but if I hovered above the seat, then I didn't feel any of the bounces, and then my area was okay. This video is getting so long, maybe I won't go into recovery at all. Maybe I'll just talk about the surgery itself because yeah, there's like so much to cover. But anyway, and then I was home, and yeah, it was really painful. Like, anytime I moved, I would be in excruciating pain. And so that was the experience of the surgery. I guess I didn't say this. So they made 4 holes. So after the hysteroscopy part, then you go into laparoscopy part. And that is, they make 4 holes. So for me, I'll insert a picture, but they made 2 on the right side of my abdomen, 1 hole in my belly button, and then 1 hole I'm not going to show because that's way too low, but basically above my pubic area, I guess you would call it. And so from those 4 holes, they put in like one of the instruments that goes in inflates your whole abdominal area with air, and that's why like afterward there is so much gas that I've been experiencing, but I guess we'll get into that in the next video. But they inflate your whole abdominal area, and then the other instruments that they go in and use to like excise stuff, which is like cut stuff out. So I have 4 holes, and they're all really painful, very sore, really bruised, and you know, just not feeling good. And so yeah, just my whole innards have that feeling of like being scooped out, because they basically did, they scooped out a bunch of tissue, a bunch of endometrial tissue that wasn't where I was supposed to be. So this video is already too long, so I'm gonna do another video where I talk about like recovery, I guess, and then also like findings from surgery. But it's really just been a lot of sleeping. So my pain levels are lower now, thank God, but it has been incredibly painful, way more painful than I was ever expecting. Because I'd seen someone else like on Instagram or something who'd been like, oh, I'm just like kind of sore, and I was like, okay, it's gonna not be that bad. Lies. So bad. Like the pain, the gas creates pain in your shoulder. Oh my God, it's just been, it's been everywhere pain. So yeah, I'll get into that in another video. But this has been my endometrial surgery experience. I have confirmed endometriosis. That's very validating for sure, because I was terrified that they weren't going to find anything and we weren't going to have any, like, why have my symptoms been so bad? Why am I having monthly pain? Like blah, blah, blah. But now it does create issues about how to keep the endometriosis suppressed for the rest of my life, so I don't have to keep having surgeries. So I'll get into that in another video, but there's just been so much going on. But yeah, that's the surgery itself. So I'm gonna go nap because I'm so tired again just from this. But I did take a shower today, my first shower in 4 days. Yay. So the surgery, the holes were glued shut, but you're not supposed to take a bath, so submerge them in water or like rub them or put any soap on them. So I was really nervous to take a shower for a while, and I just didn't have the energy, and I was really tired and it was really painful. So today I finally took the plunge, took a shower. So yeah, okay, there's just so much information and this video is already so long, so I'm gonna go. But yeah, that's all for now. Bye.